Hi guys, it's Kendra again. Today I am going to talk with you guys about my financial goals, things that I want to get accomplished that are measurable and attainable. So, first thing we need to do in order to establish my financial goals is to go through Dave Ramsey's 7 steps. Okay, so these 7 steps will help you. They're kind of like steps to take in order to get you to your final goal of being financially independent and in control of your money. So I'm going to tell you the steps that I have done as we walk through this, ones I've accomplished, and the one I'm currently in as we get there. So the first step in Dave Ramsey's 7-step program is to save $1,000 emergency fund. I was able to do this years back when we lived in Florida, and we put $1,000 in there. It took me a little bit to do it, but I have always had a side job. I went ahead, and when I finally got it up to $1,000, anything else that is in our savings is just a part of a sinking fund. That is the only money that actually stays in there that does not get touched. That $1,000 for me has not been touched in years. It is just in case there's a big emergency that we don't have the money for right then. In case anything comes up, we've got that $1,000 in there. So I have done that step. Our second step is to pay off debt using the debt snowball method, which is what I am currently in right now and almost done with. So what that means is before I had more lines of credit. I had a credit card, I had my school debt, and then I also have my car loan. So what I did is I paid off my credit card first, and all the money that I had automatically coming out for that credit card every month, I put that money towards my student loans as soon as I paid it off. So I used to pay, I think, around $125 a month on that to go ahead and pay it off. And once I was done paying off that credit card, I took that $125 I was spending on it, and instead of spending it every month, I took it and put it into my student loan debt. So it was automatically taken out on top of what I was already paying, and that helped me pay down my debt faster. Now, of course, as you know, I have an extra job as well. I do lessons on the side. All the money I get from that I can use goes straight into that debt as well. And that's how I've been able to snowball it and push it out. The car, I obviously told you guys in a previous video about my debt history. I did have to get another car when I got in an accident. That we will talk about in a second. As soon as I pay off my school debt, that one will be much easier to pay off because I will have that debt snowball from my credit card and from that student loan stuff to just go ahead and knock out that car, hopefully in less than a year. So that's where I'm in right now. I am in step 2 and very close to my goal line. Step 3, which is what I'm hoping I'll be able to do following being done with our debt, is to put 3 to 6 months of savings into your savings account. So this kind of goes back to step 1, where you have $1,000 in there right now while you're paying off debt. Okay, if you need to change that number, you totally can. 1,000 has worked for us, and we haven't had to touch it yet, thank goodness, because we have that extra income coming in. The third step is basically adding to that. So for example, let's say you make $2,000 in a month, and let's say one of you loses your job, or both of you. You want to have 3 to 6 months of actual living money that you have. So if you've been looking at my budget breakdowns, I know how much it costs just about every month for us to live. So what you want to do is take that number of how much it takes for you to live a month and times it by 3 to 6. So that'll be 3 months of living to 6 months of living. I would personally love to get somewhere in between there, maybe around 5, or somewhere around there, maybe 4, because I really want my next step to buy a house. Now, this is not one of his main steps, so we're going to call this step 3B. Okay, so 3B would be us buying a house. So let's say I've gone through, we've paid off our debt, we're in step 3, and I've saved up 4 to 5 months of living expenses for us to live on in case anything happens. Once that has been filled up, my next goal is to start saving for around 20% of a down payment on a house. Now, he said you can do anywhere from 15 to 20, but I know he said, Dave Ramsey, that if you have 20%, you do not have to pay a tax that your lender would have for you, or basically a type of insurance just in case something happened and you couldn't finish paying off their house. It's basically to protect them. I don't want that extra cost every month, so having 20% down would not only lower our interest rate and make the payments a little better, it would be nice to have that chunk down. So I would also be wanting to save 20% for a down payment on a house, however long that might take. Also, when we buy a house, I want to be able to afford it on one of our budgets. So if I'm working and my husband's working, I don't want that house to be how much we can afford on both of our budgets. I want it to be how much one person can afford. That way, if anything ever happens, one of us loses our job, hope not, or something happens, we can still afford that house without one of us working, and we know we're safe, and we can also pay it off. So my 3B goal is to save up 20% for down payment on a house with a 15-year loan that we can afford on one income. So that's 3B. My next financial goal is step 4, investing. So Dave Ramsey says not to invest in your retirement while you're paying off debt. I did break that rule. I don't follow his rules to a T. I have been putting in for retirement the day I started working in schools. So I've been saving since I was around 21, 22. So I've been saving now for retirement for about 5 years. What I want to do when we finally stop moving is take the retirement from some of those, roll them over into one account that we control, and have that retirement. My overall goal with our investments is to have, it's supposed to be 15%. What I would like to do is take the income that my company gives me. So let's say they match up to 5%. Then I'll match exactly what they have up to that percentage. So that would give me a total of 10%. Okay, let's say from my job. And they won't match past that 5% I've added. So we'll say 10% of my pay basically is going in, or being matched, 5% of my pay, and then 5 they give, is going into my retirement. The remaining amount would be 10. And I know a lot of you are like, well, you just said that it would be 10 into that one. No, I'm contributing 5 and they're contributing 5. I still need 15%. If I'm only contributing 5%, I still have 10 left to contribute. So then I want to take 10% of my pay and put it into a separate investment account that my husband and I share. And then he could do the same thing, match up to what his company will match, and then whatever is left over out of 15%, we would both contribute into one investment account. So in essence, we would have 3 retirement accounts that we would have control over, and I just think that would be a great idea. You have multiple points of saving for retirement, and I just think it's a great idea. His parents did it too, and they're both retired in their 50s, so good idea. Step number 5 would be saving for college for our children. Now, no big deal at all. It is not a parent's job to necessarily provide school. If you do, I think that's wonderful. My parents weren't able to do it for me, which is okay. They gave me support in so many other ways. They always supported anything I wanted to do. But I would love for my children to not have to worry about having an extra job on top of school. Now, a job in the summer is something different, but a job during a school year, I just don't want that extra pressure because, especially as a music major, you do 2 to 4 extra credit hours in pre-med. You are very busy. So I would like to alleviate that for our children. I still want them to apply for scholarships and apply themselves and make great grades, but I would love to be able to do that for my kids and save for their school. And there's lots of different ways you can do that. You can set up an investment account for it. They actually have a children's college fund already set up that you can ask your investor about. Those are great. So that's something we'd like to do. Step 6 would be to pay off our house. I really want to do this as quickly as possible. Now, obviously, you want to save for your children's college and everything, but basically, as soon as we're able, I want to put that money into an account for our children's college fund. And we'll have about 18 years to do that, depending on when we have our children. I would love to be paying off our house as soon as possible. So my theory is, one of us is able to afford the house. I'd like to buy an older home and fix it up, and raise that equity value. And then pay it off with the other person's income. So basically, we'd be living off of one person's income, and then the other income, let's say mine, we would use as much of that income as we could to save for college, to invest, and to pay off our house. That's the benefit of pretending to live off of one income with that other one coming in, is that you can use that other income to do extra things like pay off your house. So that's a big goal of mine that I'd like to try and stick to. Now, these are goals. This doesn't mean it's going to happen perfectly, but it's what I would like to do, and we'll just see what happens. And then the seventh is to build wealth and give back, and I definitely want to be able to do that. We've been so blessed by our families and everybody who supports us, with their kind words and their support, but also, a family that was willing to give back, not just to us, but to other people. And that's something we really feel strongly about, is giving back to the people we love and living a life together that we want. We want to retire. We want to travel. We want to provide for our children, future children. We want to give back. So that's obviously the end goal of being financially independent and responsible for your money. So through hard work and diligence, I'm hoping we'll get there. But those are my financial goals. And it's easy to attain them. I know right now it seems like a lot, but you go one step at a time. You set a goal for yourself. I mean, I'm about to pay off my school debt, which is amazing. I'm paying it off 5 years early and start working on our car, and we're working through these steps. So obviously it's going to take a while to get through them, but in the end, I know it's going to be worth it. So if you haven't done this before, sit down, go through these steps, and start making ideas of what you want to accomplish. And it doesn't have to follow this exactly, kind of like with the house or how I've been doing my retirement. I mean, it is up to you, but this is a great guideline for setting goals. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you next time. Bye.